How you feeling, dude?
Great.
Cool. So, like, how was it initially being here? Like, how was the first day, and then how do you feel now that it's like now that the workshop's over?
Yeah, well, pretty good. Mr. Smith and his associated workers are, people of character, and self-evidently so. I felt very, very comfortable the entire time. In the environment I found to be really amicable, no weird vibes whatsoever, very safe learning environment. And of course, the content of the course and the practice sessions were all tremendously productive from beginning to end. Really no complaints all around.
Yeah. And like, how is it, practicing on your own versus coming to a workshop environment and getting the skills here?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's a categorical difference. Like, it's just not the same thing at all. Practicing on your own, for a whole host of reasons outside of even the metaphysical, is just not as effective. Every unit of time you invest, you don't get the same return as being able to have this experience with other people. It's tremendously valuable to be able to have instructors on hand who know what they're doing. And of course, in a more practical sense, the transmission of energies involved at this near, vital physical level is simply something you don't get if you aren't physically in the room with people. So, trying to learn the Barn material from a book is very much like, learning to drive from a book. It doesn't seem to go very well. You crash into a lot of trees. This was never a problem here.
That's awesome. Yeah, and like, I know you've been to a lot of seminars, like with like from the starting strength guy. Mm-hmm. You've met a lot of like you've been to like some of the bodybuilder type workshop seminars.
Right.
Are there other types of workshops you've been to in the past? And I'm wondering how those formats compared to this one.
Right. Well, no, it's a good example because, I've been to a lot of educational material. This really is, I think, about as good as it gets from that perspective, in large part due to the access component, because we just clock in a very large amount of hours working and discussing this material. Even when we're not actually doing the curriculum itself and doing the actual practices, which of course is still invaluable and done very well, the ability to ask questions in real time for very long periods of time, that's invaluable. I learned just as much, if not more, from the discussions we had as the actual execution of the material. So it's an educational experience par excellence.
Par excellence. Yeah, right on. And were there any like fears, uncertainties, or doubts coming into the workshop? And how was it like, figuring out how to start, like, oh, there's a workshop, and then actually coming here? What were some of the challenges? Yeah,
well, certainly, there's practical challenges if you have to schedule a certain time and you have to fly in and everything. But really, the experience is very, very seamless. There's minimal red tape. You pay and essentially you do what you need to do to show up. Of course, with things of this nature, there's always a concern of, who are these people? How are they going to behave? And like I've already mentioned, everyone involved is a person of distinct character and ethical quality, right? So it's a very safe environment, very welcoming environment too. And so, yeah, honestly, everything went very smoothly the whole time.
Yeah, that's great. And so everyone was great. This good distinct character. What were some of your best experiences while you were here?
Oh, geez. Let's see. Well, certainly the live letter work was really, really powerful, right? All of as I mentioned before, the sheer amount of progress I personally made in the 5-day period is kind of ludicrous, actually. Like, years worth of progress in a very, very short amount of time. And in particular, the understanding that now that I understand how these things operate, the practice I'm going to have, on my own is going to be that much more productive, right?
Yeah. Awesome. And how was Jake during the seminar?
Yeah, well, no, Jake is an excellent resource. He did a tremendous job with helping Mr. Smith out with everything. He was a second opinion on information. He was very, very gracious the entire time. And of course, he was invaluable to the actual production of the material as well.
Sweet. Yeah, and then what were the things that stood out to you most about Bob, like seeing him online in his videos versus actually seeing him in person in the flesh?
Yeah. Well, Mr. Smith is who he presents himself to be. He's a distinctly wise person. He conducted himself with grace and just general good moral fiber the entire time. He's very, very funny, an excellent teacher. I mean, as someone who's been around a lot of educational environments, I mean, this is about as good as teachers get in terms of educational competence. And yeah, I mean, just a very, very competent experience. Competence all around. So.
Totally. Was there anything that like you didn't enjoy about this experience, or that was kind of hard for you? Either like with the environment, the course, the teacher, the materials. Was there anything that wasn't really working out so well?
Well, not really. I mean, it was pretty smooth the entire time. I would say that the only potential struggle that you'd occasionally have is that if you weren't aware per se about the sort of some of the background theoretics of what's going on, occasionally you'd have to exert a bit of effort to figure out what it is that's being discussed. But that's more so of a failure to prepare sufficiently, I think.
Okay. Yeah. And then, so we've gone through all the days of the seminar, the trainings.
Right.
And now that we're past the end of it, like, how do you feel about yourself before you entered the seminar and now afterwards? Yeah. How do you see your future being different?
No, well, it's a profound difference, right? Because, again, tremendous amount of progress in a fairly short amount of time with this sort of material. And there's a certain, I mean, it's sort of one of these things where you get to a bridge of understanding where, you understand how this entire process works. And what's critical about that is that when you practice on your own, it's not the same thing as it was before. So every hour of practice I have now, having gone through the course, is simply more valuable than the hour of practice I would have had without the course, right? It's a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And who are the type of persons you would recommend this course to, and who wouldn't you recommend it to?
Yeah. Well, look, anyone interested in practical esotericism, I mean, this is about as good as it's going to get, right? This is a practical, applied occultism in real time. I mean, this is it. This is the stuff. This is the method. This is a methodology that is proven to work, and that really, I think, is of benefit to basically anyone from any magical background that I can think of. The only person who I think would not benefit from this material is if they're just not interested in doing practical occultism, in which case, well, yeah, I mean, this isn't, going to a practical occultism course doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then, what are some kind of last pieces of information you'd want to share about your experience, gratitudes, or suggestions for improvement? What are some things that have been on your mind that you'd like to share?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, for whoever's listening to this, it's a tremendously valuable experience. Everyone involved is extremely good at what it is that they're doing, right? You are going to be very, very hard-pressed to find a more educationally effective or bang for your buck magical experience anywhere. This is as good as it gets. So.
Yeah. And also, future facing, like knowing that you've gotten this course, just as a young adult, like, can you imagine how your life would be different if you had gotten this 20 years later versus 20 years now? Like, how do you think about the time opportunity cost of getting this done, like, now?
Yeah, well, the work takes time, right? The work takes time. If someone's suggesting they're going to make you a master in 2 days, they're lying, right? And so no, I'm really grateful for having started this when I did, because I'm now in a position to, if you get competent at this material when you're 24 versus when you're 50, well, you have a lot more time to actually use the tools for whatever objectives you have in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Really